this modern generation have, changed football in terms of.
What's the modern generation? I ain't no modern generation.
No, but you've fallen into it.
Fallen into what? I'm just being honest. How can we give a full assessment of his season when he's missed half of it? Don't you think 27 injuries, the most amount of injuries in the Premier League, the most long-term injuries, to still finish second, that's not a 2, is it? Getting to the semi-finals of the Champions League alone, you can't be getting a 2.
Yep.
Is it realistic to get all those?
Yeah. All within our budget. I haven't spent more than 250 there. Net spend.
Gunners Unfiltered. Hi, and welcome along to another episode of Gunners Unfiltered, where I discuss with my man Turkish some unfiltered opinions. Hey, I like that, man.
Yeah, man.
I like the tattoo, bro.
The day Tottenham had the parade, I thought, let me go get a tattoo. Let me get something out of this season. Hairline and a tattoo.
On the day they did the parade?
Yeah.
It looks good. I like it.
Yeah, I did book it from a while ago. Nah, man. But you got no tattoos, no?
I haven't got. You know what? I went to get a tattoo one time, and it was actually going to be like the Canon. This was years and years ago. And when I went in, I was waiting so long, right? In there, and plus as well, I could see man there. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm waiting.
Hurt, man.
I'm waiting to get pain, right? But I waited like I didn't realize you had to wait that long.
Yeah.
For the, you know what I mean? I just said, I can't bother, and I've just never got round to doing it since.
It's worse now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big up Ash though. He's a fan of the channel.
That looks good though. I like that.
He supports Forever Arsenal, so we got to know each other through the content, and he does tattoos. I thought,
I ain't winning a no tattoo unless we get a title, man. You know what I mean? So I may never have one. You know what I mean?
That would help. I've still got the Invincibles to get somewhere. Don't worry about that.
Hey, you know what, right? Before we get stuck into today's subject, which is going to be transfers, right? Obviously, the season's done. I was at the last game of the season, right? And this guy come up to me and he goes, Robbie, he goes, that Turkish is a miserable, not going to say, right? In a nice way. He weren't being horrible, right?
Yeah.
And what he was particularly couldn't believe, right? And was saying that he wants me to make sure anytime he sees you to tell you that you're chatting utter rubbish is your grading for the season where you gave Arsenal 2 out of 10.
Yeah, 2 3.
He goes, what is he talking about? And actually, he has got a point. 2 out of 10.
Yeah.
Where do you come to that 2 out of 10?
I should ask you that, or the general, because it's not just you that does it like this. Yeah. Let me explain the way I do my rating system, right? Whether it's player or season or manager, right? 5 is average.
Yeah.
5 to me.
That's what I gave it. I gave
5
it a 5
to me is where you start the season, right? Before it's at 5. What do you do in the season to bring it closer to 10, or what happens in the season to bring it closer to 0? That's how I work it out.
That's not a fair way of working something out, is it?
Because then
how's it average? We ain't
for
even
example,
started
you
yet.
said 6, right? 6 is
5 I gave it.
Well,
I gave it a 6, but then I decided to mark it back down because of what they did in January. So I'm like, in January, right, they could have, and in particular, like, I remember we had the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, and we played those teams with weak teams, yeah? Because we didn't have no one to, because of the injuries, right? And they could have actually bought someone in early in January. They didn't do that. Plus as well, to try and do better, to make a tackle on the league. They didn't bring. So for that, but for me, when I really sit down and I assess it, yeah, how can you give 2 out of 10 for a team that finished got to the semi-finals of the Champions League and did really well in the Champions League? Mm-hmm. Even you didn't think we beat Real Madrid, did you? Right?
No.
And a finish. I know we didn't really mount a title chance, but we finished second in the league. Yeah? How can you give that 2 out of 10? Because 27 injuries Arsenal had, the most of any team in the Premier League, the most long-term injuries as well. That has to be taken into account.
Like the transfer window has to be taken into account.
Yeah, but even that, I was arguing with my daughter about it this morning when we was driving in. We can't give a proper assessment, really, of his decisions because of the injuries. So, like, if you look at somebody like, say, for instance, Havertz, yeah, right? I don't think Havertz is the answer as a striker, nor do I know you don't. But how can we give a full assessment of his season when he's missed half of it? He scored 9 goals. How do we know? I know it's all hypothetical. How do we know he wouldn't have got 20? Remember last season he finished the season really strongly, didn't he?
He did.
He scored he got into 13 goals.
Something like that.
How do we know he wouldn't have got 20 goals? We can't judge it, can we? We can,
I mean, the way it was going wasn't looking great.
He got 9.
Yeah, no, I'm not. He got 9 in 21.
He got 9.
I'm sorry, but I don't care what this.
How do we know he wouldn't have got 20? How do we know? Last season he finished the season strongly.
I don't care.
How can we judge it?
This modern generation have changed football in terms of
What's
how
a modern generation? I ain't no modern generation.
No, but you've fallen into it.
Fallen into what? I'm just being honest.
Because our striker should be getting 20 goals. That is the.
But how do you know he wouldn't have got it?
Because he was on 9 in 21. It's unlikely, very unlikely.
How do you know?
Because I can base it off. You can base it off the last 6 months of last season. I can base it off the 4 years before that he's been in the league. It's not like he's fresh off, Germany. He's been in the league for 4 years across 2 clubs. He's been played in that position quite a bit. He's never hit the heights of a striker.
How do you can't judge it when players are out injured? So like we look at Arteta and we say, that's why I said I'll mark him down for January because he could have went and done something about it, right?
Yeah.
But at the start of the season, how do we know that his judgment, right? Which I think we should have got a strike at the start of the season. I'm just saying this. He would have thought, I feel I've got enough with my squad to win the league. But we're never going to really fully know because of all the injuries.
Yeah,
how do we know?
You do know because the problem was depth. You got rid of how many attackers? You didn't bring any. You brought one in, Sterling, and you didn't trust him. I mean, now we've had a 38-game season, multiple competitions. We know he didn't trust him. So where is the depth? Because yes, injuries can happen. So that was in your injuries out of your control, even though when you consider how many hamstring injuries it's been, even Henri said it, you can link that to training methods and things behind the scenes.
Possibly. We don't 100% know that either.
So I'm not going to say it's out of their control. I'm just going to say, okay, injuries, let's say bad luck. But, but the depth was in their control. They chose to go in light. The lightest squad in the league, by the way. Remember that 22 players registered that at 25. I think it's a blessing that Luis Skelly and Ranieri managed to come in.
Yeah, but you can also, part of your squad is your academy players or your players that they don't have to be registered in.
Yeah, but Odegaard injured, you don't bring Ranieri in. Odegaard pull form at the end of the season, you don't bring Ranieri in.
But don't you think 27 injuries, the most amount of injuries in the Premier League?
Unfortunately.
Right? The most long-term injuries, to still finish second, that's not a 2, is it?
It's a default second. It's like Man United.
No, hold on, listen. It's not a 2. You finish second. It's not a 2.
We were never in a title race. We're closer to Chelsea. We're closer to Forest, Newcastle,
True.
Aston Villa, or whatever it is than we are.
Do you think injuries played a part in that?
They did play a part. But
so how's it a 2?
But so did the decisions off the pitch. So I have to
some of them,
that.
yeah.
I have to include that. And they outweigh.
But it's not a 2, though.
They outweigh the bad luck because you can expect bad luck. Every season, we should all expect, right? There's going to be injuries this season because more often than not, there is injuries, right? So we should all expect that as a club and people who are paid 12 million here, 4 million there, 3 million there. I expect these people to be on top of that situation, not go into the season light.
He's paid more than that, right? He you could argue he was light as well then. He only had Haaland only as a striker at the start of the season. Mm-hmm. And,
Yeah, selling. I mean, but I said at the beginning of the season, Man City
What was his mark?
Pep and Man City.
Yeah.
This is a poor season for them. They got back into top 4 due to January. Domestically lost the FA Cup final, Champions League out last 16, Real, Carabao Cup, I can't even remember. For them, by the standards they have over the last 5 years as well, you'd call it a 1 out of 10 season.
1?
Yeah.
It's not a 1. It's a bad season in a way by their high standards. It's not a 1 though. It's not a 1. That's what I said. They're 2.
Who told them to sell Alvarez and not bring in a replacement? They chose to do that. Who told them to bring Gundogan back? They chose to do that.
A lot of people at the time said great signing.
That people did.
Right.
People tried to say with Sterling, but come on, when you take off the rose-tinted glasses.
But I'm saying it's not a 2 out of 10. If Liverpool, all right, let's just say Liverpool, right? Because there's all the talk about depth.
Chelsea have had it's all relative to expectation, right? Chelsea have had 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 season.
Right.
They've won one of the competitions they're in.
Yeah.
And they've finished in a top 4.
Easy competition, isn't it?
It is, but they're in it. So
they play their B team the whole way down the competition.
It is, but they've won it. So at the end of the day, by their expectation coming into the season, it's win one of these trophies and get top 4.
All right.
They achieved it. Our expectation is win the league. challenge on multiple fronts, and we did
I know
neither.
that. But wouldn't you challenged on 2 fronts?
No.
Right, so wouldn't
What
you
front?
say...
Champions League semi-final, that
All
was
right.
it?
But wouldn't you say it's not a 2 though? To get to the getting to the semi-finals of the Champions League alone, you can't be getting a 2.
Yeah, but
with by the way, a very weakened squad to achieve that. With Mikel Merino up front and no Gabriel, Kivior was playing. And when we talk about squad depth, those 2 showed squad depth. Mm-hmm. And let's just say Liverpool, right? Let's just say Liverpool. We know they got a lot of attacking options, but let's just say they were missing Salah for 4 months and Gakpo for how long was Havertz was out from the start of
3 months, yeah.
Yeah, so
February, March,
no,
April.
4 months. He was out from the
3
beginning of February till the end of the season. Come back for the last 2 games. Let's just say that happened to Liverpool, and then they had another player. Let's think of another player they got up front, forward player. He was out for the season in Jesus, right? What would they have won the league?
Well, judging by the way the league's gone, potentially still, yeah.
No, they wouldn't have
Because
done, man. They wouldn't. So it's all right. Darwin Núñez coming in for a game or 2 and getting a goal, 2 goals against Brentford. But what if he's in there for 6 months? Go and speak to a Liverpool fan. What if Núñez and Chiesa and these guys were the guys, because that's their squad depth, yeah? They then had to be in that period for a long period of time. What would they have done?
Yeah, but my problem is the name just saying are very,
It's their squad. It's their squad depth.
they're the same level as the ones we rely on. That's the
Hold
problem.
on.
That's
You're
their
taking
depth.
out, if you take out Salah and you take out Gakpo, right? Mm-hmm. And one other, I don't know who's that other person, but one other, right? Like what we had, right? You've then got, let's say, Jota. We know he's a quality player. You've got Harvey Elliott, Darwin Núñez, and Chiesa. And Diaz. All right, so Diaz is the other one we take out. What would they have done?
I don't know, but they had Alisson injured for 3 months. Imagine
That's
we had
one player.
Yeah, but imagine we had Raya injured for 3 months. You'd be sitting here saying, "What if they had Alisson injured for 3 months?"
But that's one player. I'm talking
they've got
about
to put-
4 or 5. In the case of Arsenal, we're talking about 27
Yeah,
injuries, right? The most, and long term. You can't give him a 2. I know off of emotions, it feels like a 2. But I agree with that guy. It can't be a 2.
FA Cup embarrassing.
True.
Carabao Cup ultimately embarrassing.
Semi-final though, but yeah, embarrassing
Got
thing.
there, we talk about Conference League, Preston, Bolton.
Yeah, I know. Listen, a Carabao Cup is Carabao Cup, so but it was a semi-final.
League, I won't say embarrassing, but very disappointing. So if I'm saying there's 4 competitions, embarrassing, very disappointing, and then Champions League, quite surprising, right? Which is
It's just not a 2.
It is, because 3 of the competitions, it's either embarrassing or not good enough.
No, I think to get second with the amount of injuries got in that, right? Listen, it's not what we want. I know, right? But it could have been way worse. Way worse. Look at Tottenham. 21 injuries. Look where they... I know there's teams not...
Yeah, but we could say, look at
Tottenham. Look at a lot of other teams that had injuries, right?
Everyone has to deal with it. Everyone has to deal with
Well,
it.
I'm just saying. I mean, the guy told me to say it, I mentioned it to him, right?
Hopefully
Do you know what as well, right? I was thinking about this the other day. This is off you, right? But there's another criminal out there, and I'm coming for this guy as well, right? Yardman. Yeah? Remember that video we did? You know what I mean? I want you guys, when you're editing this video, right? You're going to make a special guest appearance, right? On the form of a video in Gunners Unfiltered. Yardman. He at the start of the season, he had that video that went viral, right? Where he said to me, Unai Emery, he said. The great Unai Emery, better than Arteta, this, that, blah, blah, blah. And there's people backing him. And what did that guy do this season? He bottled it, right? They only had to beat Manchester United in the last game, right? Bottled it. Apart from Pep Guardiola, the best manager in this league is Mikel Arteta. Yes. So who else do I go and get?
No. Apart from Pep Guardiola, the next best manager is Unai Emery.
No, you're chatting rubbish. Rubbish. Listen, hold on. Hold on. There's only one manager, right? There's only one.
What the fuck Mikel Arteta win over Unai Emery?
Listen, let me tell you.
No, man, come on.
You look at football.
What did Arteta
You look
win?
at football in a different. Listen, let me finish.
my God.
We're talking about the Premier League at the
Give
moment.
me the details, man.
Unai Emery was there. What did he win?
With Aston Villa. Look what he did with Aston Villa.
Unai Emery was there. What did he win?
Unai Emery.
Come on, man.
What did
use
Mikel
this.
Arteta win? What did Mikel Arteta win?
Unai Emery was here.
Are you
What did he
Are you
win?
really going to tell me that Mikel Arteta is better than Unai Emery?
Use some logic, please, when you're doing your things.
Okay then.
Unai Emery was the manager here at Arsenal, and people like you, we probably can go back and get a video, you saying he needs to go. And now you're telling me he's better. Arteta, apart from in this league, at this moment, in the Premier League, is the best manager. He, for the last 2 seasons, he's the only team to push City was Arteta. Not even Klopp. I mean, we moan about January, and I still think we should have went and got somebody. But he got Asensio, he got Rashford, he got Marlon. Right? Everyone said they had a great squad. What have they done? They didn't make the Champions League. They didn't win a trophy. What's his season?
It's different expectations again.
What with his squad?
Different expectations.
With his squad, wouldn't you? They were in semi-finals of the FA Cup. You got absolutely destroyed by Palace.
Quarterfinals of the Champions League. They put up a fight against the team.
They put up a fight. They went above expectations in that.
Yeah, league. They missed out on Champions League. That's a
should have got
disappointment.
Champions League. Big disappointment. Spent a lot of money in January and a lot of investment to get there. Didn't get there.
You'd still say 6 out of 10 for them.
And as a 2.
Oh yeah, because we needed to win the league. Aston Villa didn't need to win the league, or the expectation was.
No, but there's expectations for them was Champions League.
Yeah, the whole.
And they bottled it on the last. They're going to play the worst Manchester United team we've seen in the Premier League era.
Part. I mean, I know Man United. The referee played
Emi Martinez played a part.
It was silly, silly.
Right. So but no one going to talk about them, man. There, you know what I mean? And all those men who were praising him light yard, man, at the start of the season, gone quiet on him.
But his CV's still different.
CV,
level.
bro. You know what I mean?
Different
like,
level.
what are you doing now? That would be what you, man, would be saying about Arteta. What about now? I want to hear nothing about no CV.
But Yardman's probably going to say, "What about Arteta?"
Yeah.
Now?
Well, I'd rather have Arteta. As I said to him at the time, I'd rather have Arteta because how would he have managed the 27 injuries?
I'd rather freshen up. But here we are.
Anyway, let's get into transfers, right? Because another emotive subject. We are now into. Funny enough, it's a really weird window now because you're seeing a lot of teams going way earlier than what they normally do. It's looking like Zubimendi's done. I heard actually in January that was done. That was done. An agreement was made. He'll definitely join at the end of the season. The guy who told me was adamant, right? But I just didn't want to fully go with it because I was like, after what these people have done in January, but it looks like that's done.
Yeah.
Zubimendi's going to come in, and I think that's a good signing for you.
Yeah, good signing. Can't complain.
Good signing, but we'd all like to see a striker come in.
Minimum,
right?
Maybe 2.
What do you like to see? I don't know. I'd like to know what your choice of striker is because I don't know if I can trust you when it comes to strikers either.
What about you?
Or some of your, huh?
What about you?
What do you mean, what about me? What
about you? How long did you back Eddie? You know. Can I just say something?
I never backed no Eddie.
Can I just say something?
Eddie is my striker.
No, can I just say something? I just want to a fact. This is Gunners Unfiltered facts. You know that when you made the bet with me, that Eddie would score 15 league goals, yeah. That was 3 years ago, right? He hasn't scored 15 league goals in the 3 years, let alone that season that you fucking bet me. So
but then that
strikers.
season he didn't actually play 15. I don't even think he played 15 league games, so it's a bit unfair.
Jesus got injured and he came on.
Injured. All right, you talking. What about your boy Patson Daka?
Yeah, he's just there about.
How many goals has he scored this season?
But listen,
where are they?
1, 2, I don't know.
Right, relegated.
That's all I said is he's better than
relegated twice now. Relegated under with him in the team. That's who you wanted at Arsenal.
And you
yeah. Hey, I nearly forgot this one. Where your boy Openda? That's the guy you were campaigning for.
This is his first. This is Openda's first poor season in a while. You know
right?
that, right?
He was campaigning for Openda.
I wasn't campaigning.
Yeah? What's he done?
But Openda's had a poor season this season. But before that, 2020 or whatever it was.
No, but you could say that for Sterling, innit? He's had 2020.
No, what, 4 years ago?
Yeah, well, the same thing.
What
are
7 years ago?
He didn't get no 20 goals last season.
Not the season just gone, no. That's what I'm saying.
And he definitely didn't get no 20 goals this season.
The season before, he got 20 goals, yeah.
Did he? Mm-hmm. What did he do last year?
He scored more than Šeško.
That's the guy you wanted, Openda.
This year, I think Šeško scored more than
I think he scored this. I think when I was looking at Openda, he scored the same amount of goals, people, as Kai Havertz. Mm-hmm. Apart from Kai Havertz being injured for months.
Yeah, but
this guy's played 31 games this season.
But Openda, this is his poorest season.
31 games.
This is his poorest season.
9 goals.
Poorest season. Whereas
that's why I said I can't rely on you for strikers.
I'm still hearing Havertz prop in front of me. If I open my phone, like you mentioned Nunes to me before with Liverpool. Yeah?
Who?
You mentioned
I don't want him.
Not want him, but what you said Nunes. Look how Liverpool are with Nunes. 80 million. It didn't work. Completely different to what they thought he was going to be. 2 years later, he's a bit part player. We're 2 years into Havertz. And we're still campaigning, singing, dancing, thinking.
No one's campaigning for him. Everybody said, universally.
But you're even seeing now rumours that he's still going to be central to the plans next season, centre forward. Hold on, come on.
Well, he'd be a backup, innit?
It doesn't sound like
he'd be a backup. It's as good as Openda's record. 9 goals from.
Havertz has to worry about Marino, let alone bringing up Openda. Marino's come in and
as good as Openda.
Marino's. If I ask you a question, I ask this to everyone, and the answers are funny because it's just perfect. 70 minutes. It's November, right? Gyökeres has failed to score. He's failed to have a shot on target. They've locked him down, whoever they are. Yeah, 70 minutes. It's 0-0. We need the win. We're 2 points off top. Liverpool have just won the game. Who do you bring off the bench? Yeah, Marino or Havertz?
Havertz.
This is the Havertz prop I'm talking about. Because you don't mean if you delve into. If I ask you why. You're not going to be able to tell me why when Marino has been the one that's shown more impact off the bench, whether it be for Spain or us with goals, and his form in front of goal when he took over from Havertz or jumped in from Leicester, it's been equal to, if not better.
Yeah, no, he's done brilliantly.
So why would you bring Havertz on?
Because I just feel that we did. It's hard to judge Havertz this season in his second season because of the
What about the last 4 years then?
Right? He hasn't been here 4 years.
He's been in London, Chelsea. I don't care.
Not about Chelsea.
Yeah, but you say that.
Not about Chelsea. You can't go. No. You can't go. All right, let's judge Chris Wood off of the years previously. You wouldn't have thought he'd have done
Chris
what he
Wood's
did.
always been a good player.
Did you think he'd score as many goals as he did this season?
Chris Wood's always been a first.
Did you think he'd score?
Who was it? But no, not 20. I didn't think 20. But
he was at Newcastle, man. They run him out.
He flopped. Newcastle, it didn't work for him. But where did he go from Burnley? He was good there. Was it Burnley?
Yeah, but he didn't score. He never scored
not 20, but he's a double. He was a
like
double digit.
10, if you're lucky,
for what he is.
10 goals if you're lucky. And look what he's done this season.
Chris Wood's a better striker than what we have.
We haven't seen Havertz for the whole of this season, so we can't say. But we know that he had 9 goals. He could have got 20 this season.
This is what I'm talking about. It's all right though.
Is that fair to say?
No, it's definitely not fair to say.
Why?
Because how? How can you tell me?
How did Chris
9
Wood
in 21 he's got.
How did Chris Wood get there?
Chris Wood had double digits by the
right,
time.
And Havertz last season, he finished the season strongly.
Yeah.
Remember, he did start the season slow. This season, he started the season with 9 goals.
Yeah.
How do you know he wouldn't have got 20? How do you know? You're just a bit hypothetical.
Havertz hasn't.
Not the answer, by the way.
Even leading up the first half of the season, he wasn't great, Havertz.
He's still got 9 goals.
Yeah, 9 goals is not good enough. All of a sudden, the metrics are changing. A striker in a big 6 side should have 12, 14 goals by January. Minimum. You should be on course for a 20 goal.
Yeah, he was on course for a 20
9
goal.
in 21 is not on course. There's 17 games left.
17 games left.
So he's going to get 11 in 17, even though you're going to bring up the year before, and I get that.
The year before, exactly,
he didn't have 9 in the first 19.
Yeah, but he did this year. Yeah, so there's your evidence.
So it's not like for like.
No, but it doesn't have to be like for like.
But
you know how
just
it is.
because
you could
he
go.
Did it the year before,
listen, you can have a player go and get a hat trick in the next game. And all of a sudden, he's way on course. You don't know.
Yeah, and that,
we will never know because he have the season. But he had 9, so he could have got that. Same amount as Openda.
Okay.
Anyway, let's move it on. Right?
Season, but go on.
Let's move it on. Who do you want? It's a striker.
Gyökeres. You know who I want? I want Isak.
We're not going to get Isak. But listen, Gyökeres for me, I'm in agreement with you. That's what I want.
Gyökeres, it's an easy one.
What have you made of his talk? Like, there's people saying Sesko. you know, his ceiling's higher and stuff like that. He's younger. Where are you?
People talk some shit, you know. I mean, he is younger, you know. I don't know how people evaluate a ceiling, you know, because more often than not, you know, players don't hit their ceilings. You know, we'll look at Martinelli's ceiling 2 years ago and what we thought. But then someone might bring up Isak and say, look at him, 4 goals going into the Newcastle move. A lot of people, including myself, looked at it and said, but look at him 2 years on. Cool, that's 2 years. Now, he's not a 20-goal striker. He's not someone prolific in the league he's even in, or across the leagues he's played in so far. So why are we going to bring in a striker when we need a prolific striker? It's not about, you know, it's not about bringing in someone else that comes with excuses, because with Havertz, it's invading space. With Marino, he's a midfielder. With Trossard and Jesus, they're false nines. How about we just get a 9? Like, again, I'm going to reference Henry because I'm glad that was one of the best interviews I've seen, because I love Henry. But he said it as well. We need a 9. He goes for Alvarez. To be honest with you, I don't know how this name's come about in general, because he just signed for Atletico, had a good season. I think he likes it. He's under an Argentinian manager, you know, a legend of the game. Why would he move? If he's available, I'd be interested. But again, he is not a 9-9.
Would you get him over Gyökeres?
Nah, because he's not a 9-9. But who am I to argue with Henry? So if Henry thinks that and we get that, then...
Yeah, me, Gyökeres, man.
No, Gyökeres is
so... What more obvious signing is there? Like, you know, like his
Arsenal
goal scoring
obvious,
record is crazy. I know you can argue it's in Portugal, and yeah, if you look at the depth of teams there, it's not Premier League, or it's not even Bundesliga or places like that. But that goal scoring record, and in the Championship, he did it. Championship's a tough league, man.
Yeah.
And we've seen a lot of players transition from the Championship to the Premier League now. Ivan Toney, Ollie Watkins, Brian Mbeumo, there's 3 that have come into the, you know, from the Championship, done brilliantly. Mitrovic, you know, I feel now that, you know, I was chatting to a Coventry City fan the other day, and he said that when he was at Coventry, he goes, you could see he was another level above this Championship, right? He's quick, he's good in the air, strong. He's a striker. We just ain't had I can't think of another striker that's available out there that's better than him, so go and get him.
And then you hear the sporting director come out and say no bids have been made. And it's just like, what are you man doing then?
Yeah,
because we've needed a striker for years.
I'll be disappointed if we get Sesko.
It can't just end with Sesko, I'll be honest. And listen, there's a left winger out there.
What do you want? Yeah, what? Give us what you want this summer.
Gyökeres 65, Rodrigo 85, Shirky 25, Zubimendi's already in 50. Sell Martinelli 50, bring in Delap 30. And then,
2 strikers.
Yeah, and then maybe a left back. I don't know what happens to the defender. Does Kivior go?
Lewis Skelly.
I just don't know. Like, what's Lewis Skelly's feet? Is he coming into midfield? Is he certified left back? I don't know the situation. All I know is we don't have an out-and-out left back that can overlap. Lewis Skelly's great at coming in, but we ain't got a Tierney.
Calafiori.
Again, he comes in a lot. Tierney, like for example, Ben White overlapping on the right. We love that when we see him go around Saka, the neat ball. We don't have that on the left-hand side. And if we're getting a Rodrigo, hopefully, because that would be... Rodrigo cuts in a lot. Martinelli does too, but he's been refined a bit more now. But when he cuts in, it'd be nice to have a fullback overlapping. But again...
Is it realistic to get all those?
Yeah. All within our budget. I haven't spent more than 250 there. Net spend. There should still be one more in there.
I'd get... Yeah, Gyökeres. I'd take Rodrigo for sure. Or I've seen Rafa Leao linked. I'd take that if I just can't see it.
No, I don't know where that's come from.
I've seen that link. Players of that ilk on that left-hand side, yes. I've told you Brian Mbeumo I like as well, because he can play wide. He can play as a second striker as well. I'd take him. I think he's a really underrated player in the Premier League. Creative midfielder, I think we need. I personally think Ethan Nwaneri, play him on that right-hand side, back up to Saka, and you can build him into that Odegaard position. I'd like to see somebody come in that position. You know who I like, right, that no one's really spoken about? You know that guy, at Brentford? Is it Damsgaard?
Oh, Yeah,
Damsgaard?
Is it Damsgaard? One of them anyway. They got a few guards.
he's. I like him as well. I don't think he'd be a king's ransom. I think he had a good season, a lot of assists, good player who could come in as wouldn't be it'd be Odegaard and him battling it out. I think that would be. But listen, to me, it all comes down to the two positions. If they can only do two, it's got to be striker, left wing.
Yeah.
Got to be those two. They've done Zubimendi, that's good. Keep Partey, that makes sense to me as well, right? But you got if they don't do that this season,
they're gonna have problems. I'm telling you. Next
I
season,
might be in your camp.
There ain't no hiding places next season, man. They shouldn't have been this season.
Do you think they'll do it? Do you think they'll do it?
No.
Do you think they'll get what we need?
No.
You don't. You got no confidence in them, even with this guy Berta coming in.
I'm not one that's always blamed an Edu or a Raul Sanlei, or because really the ambition comes from above. So as much as I look at Berta and I'm happy with the appointment, I think we will find that he'll be restricted like all the others have been. Why? Well,
I think it would be. I'm trying to think of the word. I mean, after doing nothing in January, right? So that suggests, right, all right, we're keeping our powder dry for the summer. Number one, I expect them to have clear plans for the summer. They must, because if you're sitting and you're saying, boy, actually we're going to wait till the summer, right? I want to see clear plans, man. And they've got to, I mean, and I do feel bring in a couple of signings, and I know you shouldn't always do this, but a couple are going to excite the fans. So if you did bring in Gyökeres and Rodrigo, you're buzzing for next season, innit? Yeah. Those two alone, you're like, you're kind of like, even if Gyökeres, Rodrigo, Zubimendi, you're like...
Already. And you had 25 Shirky in there, who's a very, maverick type player.
They're saying that they've been linked with...
City,
else. I just think because he's such a maverick player, is that an Arteta signing?
Well, then it's going. We need a couple of those, if I'm honest.
Because Rodrigo, you could argue, was kind of a maverick signing.
Again, Henry.
So,
did you see when he said about dribblers? And he was like, "Why are you stopping dribblers dribbling? Like, why? What is going on here in football?" That interview was so good because it's a lot of people say, "Oh, you're back in my day, move with the times," but when I say football has taken a turn for the worse over the last 10, 15 years, the facts are there. R9 said something recently. Dino said something recently. Henry's. These are very cultured icons of the game.
They're right. And I actually think, right, I'm going to look at us and Man City, especially Man City recently, right? And I think have teams sussed out that possession-based style of football, because teams now are just sitting really... You saw what Palace did to them in that final. They just sit really, really deep. They're so organised, man. You can sit there watching the games and you just see the way they're moving. And then these teams, they just deploy quick, lightning quick forward players. And they just say, when we win that ball, man, you lot just get on your bike, get up there, get teams 3-on-3 or 2. Because you see with Arsenal, we'll have so many players forward controlling the ball. It's only, say, Kivior and Saliba at the back, or Kivior and Gabriel at the back, because everybody else is. Yeah. So if you win the ball, you got 2-on-2 situations. And if you've got really good players like those Mbuema, I remember when they scored against us, guys like that are really quick and clinical. They may not score every time, but they can get joy.
Yeah.
And so is it that this possession-based style of football now has been sussed?
Football cycles, so hopefully, possession-based football.
When I say, but it's always possession-based is always the best, but that we sort of I class City and even Arsenal as ultra possession-based.
I think it's more,
Chelsea as well.
I think rather than that being the problem, I think it's more profile. The game's gone to more physical over technical, or in the Premier League. Because the best team I've ever seen in my whole life were Barcelona, and they dominated possession. They lost the ball within 6 seconds. They got it back, but the way they played,
but like you said,
technically,
they had mavericks
beautiful.
within that,
exactly.
Like Messi, You know, you had maverick players. You had those players that kept it moving with, you know, the technical passing and all that. But then you had a guy then that could just pick it up, go past 2-3 players within that. We don't have that.
De Bruyne is the last of that.
Yeah, we don't have that. City don't have that.
Actually, Wirtz is coming in, which is,
Wirtz looks like he's going to Liverpool, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know if that style's got sus, and you do need a player that picks the ball up and drives. I remember that at the start of the season when we played Villa, and that Morgan Rogers was doing that, and you just saw it creates space, it creates havoc.
Man,
yeah, I'd love to see a return of that, but who's going to do that for us? So you think it's somebody like a Turkey?
Yeah, buy them. Rodrigo on the counter, the transition, electric. Saka, we already know, can do both. Be a robot or be free. I think, and Gyökeres, you know, we've got to tweak the tactics as well as bringing in players. Like Arteta needs to look at himself and think, what's next? Not let me do that with these. It's what's next tactically.
Yeah, because at the moment we're just watching chessboard football, isn't it? Where it's just like,
and if it's winning, bring me chess all day. I don't really care, but you haven't won, so sorry, you've got to change it up.
Right, time to get into unfiltered opinions, right? Which is always a great section. Let's go with the first one. £80 million Rodrigo would be better than £60 million for Mbeumo.
It's an easy one, yes. Right? We need a left winger.
Like Mbeumo, man, but
we need a left winger.
Listen, either for me, but I guess if you're gonna get one, it's got to be Rodrigo. You know what I mean? And I'm really excited if we. I think a signing like that excites. I think we need a bit of excitement at Arsenal.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
You know what I mean? It's been a long time. I think Declan Rice was the last signing where we were like really excited, and that's not even really a forward.
Yeah, because it's not a forward Declan Rice.
Yeah.
He was excited to a certain extent because
probably we pulled it off and
Man City tried but Oba was the last exciting one. Before that, Sanchez. Before that, Ozil, and before that.
Yeah, Rodrigo. I mean, Rodrigo, you're going to get his shirt in it. And that sort of thing, you know what I mean? That's that type of signing. So I'd say I agree with that. You agree with that. All right.
Rodrigo 100. If we get north of 60 million this summer for Odegaard, we should sell him. Nah, 60 mil is, I mean, north of 60 mil is a big season ahead of him.
I keep him, man. Like, no.
I'd be bringing competition in to see if that gives him what he needs rather than be selling him this summer.
Yeah. A guy said yesterday that we're basically going to have Real Sociedad's midfield.
Yeah.
Right? Because you go to Odegaard, Marino, Zubamendi.
Yeah.
Right? But I think...
Did they win anything?
And they won nothing. Yeah. But Odegaard had a bad season. But just because he's had a bad season, I don't think we should be selling him. I think we should be actually bringing someone in to really offer serious competition to him. 60 million is not enough. You know, last season, prior to last season, we would never even have dreamt of that. You can't just write off someone because they've had one bad season. No, not for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Giving Partey a 2-year contract is a mistake.
What he wants.
Not for me. Listen, I think he's had a good season. He was injury free. I think if you're bringing in Zubamendi, he helps to ease him in, you know, and this Premier League is tough sometimes, so we drop straight in there. I think it's a good move. And I don't think we could have got away with just giving him 1 year. He would have gone elsewhere. So I don't think it's a mistake. What do you think?
Listen, he put in the work this season. The thing with him is when he plays, we can see his quality. You know, it's just that it's been off, on so far for us. Is it a mistake? Time will tell, because ideally you give him a year, but he wants 2. He's shown form this season where he's been labelled our best midfielder. So as much as, you know, it could be in the long run one you look back at and say, we're paying him this when he's 33, 34. He deserves his contract. Yeah. We need protection for Zubamendi. You know, the injury problems, maybe Zubi plays 30 games, Partey plays 30 games next year, and that's how you ease, like you said, Zubi in.
And also, you think about it, like, if it doesn't really work out this year, you've got 1 year on it, you can sell it.
Yeah.
Right, rather he just walks away for free.
Yeah, true. Saudi. What's a bigger priority, a high-profile winger or a high-profile creative midfielder? Winger for me.
Winger. Definitely a winger. We still, even when we think we don't create from midfield, we do. We actually create stuff from midfield. You know what I mean? So, winger. We need threats, man. We need options up front. We need goal threats, winger.
Yeah, but the thing is, I say winger, but if you did say Wirtz or Rodrigo to me at the start, I would have said Wirtz just because I really, really like Wirtz. But outside of Wirtz, there's no other like. I like Arda Güler a lot, but I'm going Rodrigo, you know, in terms of everything. So for me, winger.
Winger.
Yeah.
We should sell Martinelli rather than Trossard to raise more money.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I think I kind of agree, if I'm honest.
I think Martinelli, though, like if you went and bought in a really top left winger, Martinelli's a good impact player coming on with his pace, and
Trossard's showed more that he's a better impact
he's older
player,
though, isn't
he? He is, but he's actually come off the bench and scored goals for us in key moments, and he's actually showed that start of the season I called him the best 12th man in the league. It's just that this season he's been part of the starting 11, so that tag has kind of left him.
Bad.
He's still got more GA, I think, than Martinelli.
Yeah.
So I'd be keeping. I wouldn't give him a new contract. I'd leave Trossard to run the year, and I'd sell Martinelli. Rodrigo would come in, and then next year you bring in the backup to Rodrigo because Trossard's contract ends. Next. This is the best combo on AFTV.
Well, I agree to that. We got to agree.
Come on. Production. That one's from production. I know it.
Right. Now it's time for Gunners Unfiltered Archives. Right. Where we take a look back at a couple of videos. They always catch us out with these. I wonder what they got this time. Run the clip.
Rice, baby. Rice, baby.
Remember how bad his rap was?
And he got released by mistake, and he wasn't up in arms about it. He was upset for like 10 days.
Terrible,
Rice, baby. Rice, baby.
Hey, do not call me for no welcome vids like this.
If you get Rodrigo, you got to do.
Nah, Arda Güler.
All right, if we get Rodrigo, I forget Arda Güler.
Yeah.
All right, if we get Rodrigo and Gyökeres,
Yeah.
you promise to do
Nah,
something. Come on, man. Don't be.
You think I waited 21 years for this club to start moving right, and then what? I'm gonna put myself dancing on the internet.
All right, if we both in it, we'd be both in the video.
But you don't mind this shit.
No, I do, man.
You're like Cecil. You're like the older Cecil. He's like the younger Robbie.
Listen, I can't dance, man. I can't dance. Right, we're gonna be.
You was on the stage back in the day, Mike, and all of that. So
that was a bit different. Listen, we both agreed, right? If we get Rodrigo and Gyökeres, we're both in the video.
We ain't getting him.
Right, we got one more.
Thank you very much.
Very welcome.
So where's the money?
Where's the money?
Where's the money? Where's the money?
You got all of this and you're asking where's the money?
Yeah, which is really nice. But I thought I was winning £200. That's what I thought.
Bro, I need to work.
Wow.
Nah, he's a legend. He's a legend. He was there for the money. She said,
He's
"What, you got
only
all
there
of
for the
this?" And
money.
he was like, "Where's the money?"
With the £200. 200. Right.
Legend.
The legend time, man. Listen, big him up. Big up to you guys. Of course, we are into transfer season, so don't forget to check out Transfer Daily. And we'll be doing regular programs with Turkish as well, where we look at transfers and players that we can bring in. So make sure you check that out. But bro, love the tattoo.
Come on.
Right? And big up to you guys. Subscribe here to AFTV, and we'll be back very soon with another Gunners Unfiltered.
Hustle like I bag groceries. Rich off this even if my mouth wires